Now we are at musculoskeletal development, that is chapter 10 according to our textbook. So we know till trigeminal disc, like here we have outer ectoderm, middle mesoderm and endoderm, and by this time we know our intraembryonic mesoderm is divided into paraxial mesoderm and intermediate mesoderm and lateral mesoderm. So this is the paraxial, this is the intermediate, and this is the lateral. So we know that intermediate, this paraxial, lateral all lie side of our notochord and our neural tube. So this is a lateral plate mesoderm which is divided into further somatic layer and then splanchnic layer, right? So this is a lateral mesoderm, and this is an intraembryonic coelom, this outside. And remember that intraembryonic coelom continues with the extraembryonic coelom, and also intraembryonic mesoderm also continues with the extraembryonic mesoderm. So now now next process is folding takes place. So after folding takes place, this is how it appears. Like you can see here, the peritoneal cavity or pericardial cavity is formed. This is the endoderm. Endoderm forms the GIT now, and there is a muscular layer of wall of GIT, and it's a muscular wall of GIT which is mainly made by our, you can see this is a lateral somatic layer, right? Somatic mesoderm, intraembryonic somatic mesoderm forms a muscular layer of the wall of GIT, by splanchniopuric layer of lateral mesoderm, not somatic. Somatic forms here, right? Lateral by splanchniopuric layer of lateral mesoderm, and the somatic layer forms a body wall like ribs, musculature. So this is important, and the ventral skin is made up of ectoderm. So now what all those structures has become, once let us recall. So ectoderm is forming our ventral skin part, right? And in mesoderm there are several types, like mainly our splanchnic layer is forming the musculature of wall of GIT, and our somatic layer is mainly forming our body wall, ribs, musculature, and the ventral skin is formed by ectoderm, and this endoderm is forming the GIT. So till that we have understood. Now the next process is, you can see, if you're drawing in a longitudinal section, then you can see this is a neural tube, notochord inside it. This is a segmentation, these are the somites, and this is a paraxial mesoderm, this is the lateral plate mesoderm. So segmentation takes place in a somites, and you can see how the segmentation takes place, like ventromedial, dorsolateral part. Ventromedial part have a loose epithelium, and this lateral plate mesoderm, and also there is intermediate mesoderm in between them. Actually intermediate mesoderm forms kidneys, urogenital system, right? So segmentation takes place because the tissue blocks are formed, that is somites are formed, and the somites in the uppermost part are called as occipital somatomeres, and below in all other parts it is known as somites. So what is sclerotome, dermomyotome? So this somite only, its ventral part is forming a sclerotome, that is the ventral medial part is loose epithelium migrate towards the notochord. This is the sclerotome, and dermomyotome is a dorsolateral part which goes to the dermis and also forms. So dermomyotome is divided like dermatome and myotome. Dermatome forms dermis of the skin, and myotome forms the muscles. So remember that the ventromedial part, that is our sclerotome, also forms a vertebral column. This is important. And next, the mesenchyme of the occipital somatomeres forms a skull, because occipital, the name you can understand, it forms a skull. And lateral to the neural tube, we are having neural tube. So lateral to the neural tube, we are having the neural crest cells, like you can imagine here. So here we'll have the neural crest cells in the sides of the neural tube which migrate upward, and they also form the skull. So now skull is mainly formed by two types, that is from the neural crest cells and also from the occipital somatomeres, right? So skull is formed from neural crest cells and also occipital somite or somatomeres. And vertebral column is formed by ventromedial part of the sclerotome of the somites, and the ectoderm form the limb buds, that is mainly by dermomyotome, which moves, and somatic layer of the lateral mesoderm go there and form the mesenchyme for the limb bud. So this is how first we can understand the introduction, like how all structures are formed. Now let us see in detail of the skeletal system development of mainly skull, limbs, vertebra, etc. So first let us start with the skull. So skull, mainly it is having the brain part and facial part. The brain part is called neurocranium, which is housing the brain, and the face part is called as viscerocranium. And skull is having a base, it is having a vault of the skull. This is all the vault of the skull, and this is the base of the skull. So vault is nothing but the top of the skull. The neural crest cells develop up to frontal lobe. Neural crest cells develop up to the frontal lobe from the base at the pituitary area. So here here the pituitary area, from the pituitary area up to frontal lobe, the neural crest cells are forming the base and also frontal part of our skull. But the somatomeres of the occipital, that is of our paraxial mesoderm, move backward of the skull is formed. So backward, this back part of the skull is all formed by our somatomeres of occipital somites, that is from paraxial mesoderm, and this is formed from the neural crest cells. So in vault and base, both mesenchyme are from both neural crest cells and somatomeres, right? So mesenchyme first it forms converts into fibroblast, which directly forms into osteoblasts and undergo intramembranous ossification in a vault of the skull. This is also known as membranous neurocranium. So neurocranium, that is this part which is related to the brain, it is mainly done by the ossification which is done here is intramembranous, that is there is no any cartilage, so they directly convert into bone. But in the case of base of the skull, remember that the base of the skull is mainly of chondrocranium or endochondral ossification, that is first the fibroblast convert into chondroblast into osteoblast, and so this is endochondral ossification. So the base of the skull is by endochondral ossification, and the vault or the top of the skull is by intramembranous ossification. And remember that from pituitary to the frontal part it is made by the neural crest cells, and the base all or back all this is made up of somatomeres of paraxial mesoderm, right? So this is how we need to remember the skull. Next, coming to the notochondria and the sella turcica. So sella turcica, it is a place where pituitary forms. So this is a notochord traveling in our spinal vertebral column. So notochord ends at the sella turcica. So mesenchyme from the neural crest cells and somatomeres. This is called precaudal area, and the back part is called caudal area. So where it ends, there the mesenchyme from the neural crest cells and somatomeres both are joining at this point, right? Because here neural crest, here somatomeres. So this area is mainly called as precaudal area, or it is precaudal area. And the back to the precaudal area, this is called as caudal area. And now if we take a skull from a top view, you can understand in a fetus life, especially here the anterior fontanelles is present, which assess the intracranial pressure and also close at the age of 2 years. And here you can see this is the coronal suture. The dense connective tissues are mainly forming sutures which holds the skull bone, and easy to as they are holding the skull bone, it is easy to remove the baby during delivery. And you can see fontanelles. This is the anterior fontanelle, this is a posterior fontanelle. This is a lambdoid suture, this is a sagittal suture, right? So what is the main function of this sutures? It's nothing but it helps in the enlargement of the brain in the skull properly, because as brain enlarges, these bones also need to move further, and finally they fuse properly. So these are the sutures which help to expand the skull or brain. So next, coming to viscerocranium. Now we have completed about our neurocranium, that is our brain part. Now let us see the face part, what happens. So viscerocranium from the branchial arches mainly, as we just studied our branchial arches, also known as pharyngeal arches, right? So mesoderm is very high, they migrate and also have the migrated neural crest cells. So we know the facial bones, axilla, temporal, zygomatic, right? So the first pharyngeal arch is divided into dorsal and ventral part. Dorsal part gives rise to maxilla, zygomatic, some part of temporal, then mesenchyme from neural crest cells, and inner ear like malleus and incus. So all these bones, all these are formed from the dorsal part of pharyngeal arch. And the ventral part forms a first it forms a Meckel's cartilage, and later it disappears, and around this the mesenchyme undergo intramembranous ossification to form the mandible. So these are all which are formed And remember that facial bones mainly undergo the intramembranous development but not endochondral. But here in the case of Meckel's cartilage, as this is cartilage, it need if actually this cartilage remains like that, so no need of endochondral ossification even here. So even here it is intramembranous ossification. Next, second pharyngeal arch mainly forms stapes, and in the newborn there is no paranasal sinuses, remember, and there is very much underdeveloped jaw in case of new. And one more important point is that the anterior neuropore mainly closes on 25th day and the posterior should close on 27th day. Clinical is that if there is not closing, that is if anterior neuropore is not closing, then the top of the skull always remain open, so the brain substance is directly open to the amniotic cavity and it undergoes degeneration, and in intrafetal death takes place, and that is called as anencephaly, and also they may cause the craniocysis. So only if a part of the skull is missing, that is dura mater, come out, meningocele, and if the brain also protrude out, then it is called as meningomyelocele, right? And next, coming to the sutures dose prematurely. Sutures, if the sutures grows prematurely, then it is known as synostosis. So there are different types of synostosis. Like first one you can see, this is cephalocephaly, that is if the sagittal suture is improper. And the second one is, you can see, this is a coronal suture. If the coronal suture is improper, then the lower skull or this is called as tower skull or oxycephaly, or also called as acrocephaly. And third one is if both sagittal and lambdoid suture are underdeveloped, then it is called brachyskull asymmetry and brachyskull, that's it. And if half part of the coronal suture and half part of lambdoid suture are not well developed, then it is known as asymmetry or plagiocephaly. So this is all this. And remember that in cephalocephaly, this is also known as dolichocephaly. Here the sagittal suture closes prematurely. So these are where the sagittal sutures where it is closing prematurely and causing all these conditions. And next, let us discuss the microcephaly, which is where the brain develops less and mentally retarded, small skull. Micro means small, right? Small skull. And next, let us see limbs. How limbs are formed. So limb buds are mainly started by Hox kind of genes, which are expressed at the ends of the limb buds. The buds are stimulated by these genes. That is, Hox have ectoderm plus somatic intraembryonic mesoderm. So it is having growth factors like TBX, G factors. So all this lead to initiation of the growth of the limb buds. So this Hox is mainly combined ectoderm and somatic intraembryonic mesoderm, right? So this is present in a limb bud, and BMP at the apex of the limb bud is thickened. So BMP is also kind of growth factor which lead to at the apex it is present in the limb bud, which thicken and leads to limb elongation. And the cells proliferate to form mesenchyme. Rapid proliferation takes place, and this self proliferation is initiated by AER. And before to this AER, we are having a progress zone, which where lot of cells undergo rapid proliferation. Next, coming to mesenchyme is left away from this zone and start differentiating cartilaginous model and start the endochondral ossification. So few cells undergo apoptosis in the AER, and then the fingers are formed. So in between fingers, this web structure is formed mainly. They're not webbed like this, they are open because some of the cells in between undergo apoptosis and they die. So eventually AER degenerate and the further growth will stop. So it's proximal distal development. The digit rays develop anterior, posterior, little finger development and thumb development. So the zone of polar activity is present in the thumb development, that is ZPA is activating to form vitamin A, and it is the sonic hedgehog which is activated. So if it is disturbed, it leads to disturbed fingers or abnormal fingers are formed. So dorsoventral development by special growth factors called WNTF, and the bone developed primary center in the diaphysis at 7 weeks, secondary center at the ends after the birth, that is in epiphysis, and in between them, that is non-ossified or growth plate or growth or elongation of the bone, that is epiphyseal plate. So next, coming to clinical conditions, like sometimes there is no limb, without limb, then it is called telidodomity. It is seen in nausea for pregnancy, So in nausea of pregnancy they are giving this drugs, thalidomide. So because of this the limbs are not developing in a newborn, so now it is banned. That is leading to formation of limbless baby. And next, amelia. Amelia means no limbs. Meromelia means small but abnormal proportion of limbs. Micromelia means miniature limbs, that is but with a normal proportion. Phocomelia means hands and feet are attached to the trunk. Achondroplasia means growth plate grow too early, and the long bones have abnormal growth like small arms, leg, so leading to dwarfism. And when paternal, so this condition takes place when paternal age is very much high. And then coming to finger abnormality, it is extra, like if fingers are extra then polydactyly, if fingers are less like ectrodactyly, fused, two fingers are fused, and syndactyly. If you are having short fingers means brachydactyly, middle finger and metacarpal is absent, fuse other fingers then claw hand, and club foot means most common in male. And female congenital dysplasia of hip, acetabulum is abnormal having loose joint, and this takes place mainly if the female is delivered in breech position, that is buttock area is coming first in the case of delivery. And now let us see how the vertebrae, you can see these are the vertebral arches. This is a spinal nerve, so the top part and lower part are attached so that the nerves can easily pass in between. You can see upper and lower areas fuses with the upper half of the lower, and there is a segmental arrangemental change. Development of vertebra is intersegmental, and there is so spinal nerve can easily pass in between, and the myotome is mainly bridged. And this is a vertebral body. And next you can see the notochord persists in adults as nucleus pulposus, and around it we are having the annulus fibrosus, and now they can move, that is now the myotomes can easily move. So what is scoliosis? Means S-shaped, abnormal and move laterally. Then spinal bifida is also one more abnormality. You can see the spinal diads are different types. Less dangerous one is the occulta, and we are also having meningomyelocele, and myeloschisis. All this myeloschisis, meningomyelocele all together are called as cystica, in which there is alpha ketoprotein as very high in both maternal and fetal blood. So now let us check out some of the important diagrams and points over here. So you can see the most bones of the axial skeletal are derived from sclerotome of somites, means it's from paraxial mesoderm, and the bones of the shoulder, hip, limbs are from lateral plate mesoderm, that is mainly somatic layer, and some bones of face, skull are from neural crest cells, right? So next important diagram, you can see the formation of mesenchymal basis of body of vertebra from sclerotome. So this is a neural tube, notochord, mesenchyme from the sclerotome. So this is the sclerotome, this is the dermomyotome, this is a somite, and that's a paraxial mesoderm which forms a vertebral column, right? And next here we can see the formation of mesenchymal basis of neural arc and costal element. So this is a mesenchymal basis of neural arc, mesenchymal basis of costal element, basis of vertebral body, notochord, and this is a neural tube. And the pericaudal disc becomes an intervertebral disc. This is one of the important point which I found. And the diagrams, you can see the notochord, pericaudal disc, mesenchyme from one somite, cranial less dense condensed part, it is the condensed part, less condensed part, caudal less condensed part. You can see how the vertebrae are arranged, and this is the intervertebral disc in between them, and this is the nucleus pulposus, which is a remnant of a notochord. And some of the important parts, like the vertebra is an intersegmental structure made up of portions of two somites, and the position of the center of somite is represented by the intervertebral disc, and the transverse process and the ribs are also intersegmental. They separate the muscles derived from the two adjoining myotomes, and the spinal nerves are segmental structures. They therefore emerge from between two adjacent vertebrae and lie between two adjacent ribs. So the blood vessels supplying the structures derived from the myotome, that is intercostal vessels, intersegmental like vertebra. Therefore the intercostal and lumbar arteries lie opposite to the vertebral bodies. And here you can see the neural arch G to 1 ossification centers, neurocentral joint centrum, neurocentral line, and here's a part of the vertebral body formed by neural arch. So we know this is a vertebral body, and these are the arches like transverse process, or spinous process, etc. So here one more point which I have found is that 3 primary centers of ossification appear in the cartilaginous models for each vertebra, one for each neural arch and one for greater part of the body like centrum, and at the birth the centrum and the 2 halves of the neural arch are joined by cartilage. So these are mainly called neurocentral joints, and the posterior lateral parts of the vertebral body are formed from the neural arch. After the centrum and neural arch are fused, the junction between the two is indicated by neurocentral line. And next, some of the congenital anomalies like one or more vertebra may be absent, and absence of coccyx may be seen or sacrum, and additional vertebra also may be present sometimes, to show 6 segments. Yeah, and this one you know. And 2 hemivertebra sometimes have gap between them. 2 halves is large enough for meninges, and the nerves to bulge forward between them. This is called anterior spina bifida. You can see the spina bifida by non-fusion of 2 halves of neural arch. This is the missing part of a spina bifida. And here you can see 2 or more vertebra are normally separate, may be fused to each other, and such fusion may occur in cervical region. Then it is called clipperal fail syndrome. And sometimes the atlas vertebra fuse with occipital bone, then is called occipitalization of atlas. And the 5th lumbar vertebra may be partially or completely fused to the sacrum. Then it is known as sacralization of 5th lumbar vertebra. And the first sacral vertebra may be separate from the rest of the sacrum. Then it is called lumbarization of first sacral vertebra. And the odontoid process may be separate from the rest of the axis of the vertebra. And the articular facets may be abnormal in orientation when there is deficiency of both inferior articular of 5th lumbar vertebra and also body of vertebra may slip forwards over the sacrum. Then this is known as spondylolisthesis. And the vertebral canal may be divided into 2 lateral halves by projecting shelf of bone which splits the spinal cord longitudinally like 2 halves. It is called as diastematomyelium. And one more, the ossification of vertebral bodies is defective and reduce the total length of the spine, and this lead to dwarfism, short trunk, and have limbs of normal length. This is called chondroosteodystrophy. And the peculiar tumor arises from the cell of primitive knot to the lower end of the spine. Various tissues are seen. Such growth is called sacrococcygeal teratoma. And they may cause some deformities of the spine, like it is bent on itself, congenital scoliosis, and deformities of cervical vertebra lead to tittling of head one side, rotation to opposite leg. It's called congenital torticollis. This deformity is secondary to a contracture of sternocleidomastoid muscle. The spinal nerves or even spinal cord may be implicated and subjected to abnormal pressure, leading to paralysis sometimes, and they're frequently the cause of backache. Next, in ribs, we have the ventral extension of sclerotomesenchyme forms of vertebral arches, and they lie ventral to the mesenchymal basis of transverse process with which they are continuous. So this is about ribs. And in the thoracic region, the entire extension is called primitive costal arch and undergoes chondrification and ossification to form the ribs. And it does not undergo chondrification, it becomes loose and formed, then it is called costotransverse joint. And the relation they have, this costotransverse are mainly having relationship to the transverse process. And sternum is nothing but the fusion of 2 sternal bars or plates that develop in either side of the midline, and they become cartilages in the 7th week of intrauterine life. And laterally, the sternal bars are continuous with the ribs. And anomalies in sternum are like unilateral absence, like only on one side they are absent, and with hemivertebra, and accessory ribs are present. Such a rib may be attached to 7 cervical vertebra like cervical rib, or to the first lumbar vertebra. And fusion of 2 sternal bars in fault like body of sternum shows partial or even complete midline cleft. Minor degrees of non-fusion may result in bifid scaphoid process or midline foramen, and transverse cleft may also occur. So next diagram we need to discuss is this one. You can see how the cervical looks, how the lumbar looks, how the thoracic looks, and how the rib is attached to it. You can see. So green one is from the neural arc, Blue one is the centrum from the costal element, sacral part you can see here. And here we have the sternal bars, how they are attaching in a midline. And the funnel chest is a lower part of the sternum, and the attached ribs are drawn inwards into thorax. So the primary defect is the central tendon of the diaphragm is abnormally short in this case. And the upper part of the sternum and related costal cartilage may protrude forward, then it is called as Pigeon breast. And in skull we know everything that aortic and nasal capsules are also involved in part of forming mesenchymal basis of skull. And the first brachial arch is closely related to the developing skull. Yeah, we seen that's the mandibular and maxillary process, right? And bones are completely formed by membrane are frontal bone, parietal bone, maxilla, zygomatic, palatal, and temporal, nasal, lacrimal, vomer. And the bones that are completely formed by cartilage are ethmoid, inferior nasal, concha, septal, and alar cartilage also. And bones partly formed in cartilage, partly in membrane are like occipital, sphenoid, temporal, mandible. Occipital interparietal part above superior nuchal line formed in membrane, and the rest of the bone is formed by endochondral. But in sphenoid, lateral part of greater wing and pterygoid laminae are formed in membrane, rest in cartilage. In temporal, squamous and tympanic parts in membrane, and the teres and mastoid forms by ossification of cartilage of aortic capsule. And the styloid process is derived from cartilage of second branchial arch. And mandible, most of the bone is formed from membrane and the mesenchyme of mandibular process. The vertebral part of Meckel's cartilage is embedded in the bone, and the condylar and coronoid process ossified from the secondary cartilage and appear in this situation. So anomalies of skull we have like cleidocranial dystrosis, where the deformities of skull are associated with the clavicle, and the premature union of sagittal suture gives rise to boat-shaped skull called scaphocephy, acrosophy. We already discussed this. Yes, early union of coronal suture cause acrocephaly, asymmetrical union of sutures, twisted skull, phlegiocephaly, and brain fails to grow, then microcephaly. And the bones of the vault of the skull may be widely separated by expansion of cranial cavity called congenital hydrocephalus, and in rare congenital condition is called Hand-Sculler Christian disease, where large defects are seen in skull bones, and primary defect in the reticuloendothelial system. Changes in bones are secondary. In the occipital bone may be fused to the atlas vertebra. Several genetic disorders of craniofacial development are described, like under development of first branchial arch may lead to mandibulofacial dystosis. And this is a formation of limb buds. Limb buds are mainly paddle shaped, and they are formed in the intrauterine life of second month, and the parietal layer of the lateral plate mesoderm give rise to them. Yeah, and the forelimb buds appear little earlier than the hind limb buds. So once let us check out the structure. These are pharyngeal arches, pericardial bulge, forelimb bud, hind limb bud. So forearm, arm, and areas of cell death, so that finger spaces are formed in between them, right? So the thumb and the great toe are formed on the preaxial border, and the radius is in the preaxial border of the forearm. The original ventral surface forms the anterior surface of the arm, forearm, and hand. In the case of lower limb, the tibia is the preaxial border of the leg. Adduction of the limb is accompanied by medial rotation, which results in the greater toe and the tibia come to lie on the medial side. The original ventral surface of the limb is represented by inguinal region, the medial side by lower part of thigh, popliteal surface of the knee, the back of the leg, and the sole of the foot. So you can see the forelimb bud is derived from C4, C5, C6, C7, C8, T1, T2, and innervated by corresponding spinal nerve, and the hind limb is from opposite segment like L2, L3, L4, L5, S1 and S2. So you can see the forelimb bud, hind limb bud is the body of the embryo, how it is forms, and joins fibrous tissue forming the fibrous joint like syndesmosis, or into cartilage forming cartilaginous joint. In case of cartilaginous joint, we have seen chondrosis and primary cartilaginous joint, and the cartilage connecting the bones is later ossified, which results to two bones become continuous. This is seen typically at the joints between the diaphysis and epiphysis of a long bone. So at the site where a synovial joint is to be formed, the mesenchyme is usually 3 layers, and the outer 2 layers are continuous with the perichondrium covering the cartilaginous ends of the articulating bones. The middle layer becomes loose and the cavity is formed in it. The cavity comes to be lined by mesothelium, which forms a synovial membrane. The capsule and other ligaments are derived from the surrounding mesenchyme. So you can see the diagram here. This is a preaxial border where the thumb is formed, and this is a postaxial border where our little finger is formed. This is a positioning feature. This is a postaxial border, right? This is the position of the limb in the adult. In fetus it will be like this. In adult later it forms like this. And here you can see the development of synovial joint. This is a cartilage connective tissue of presumptive joint, cartilage surrounding mesenchyme, dense connective tissue, loose connective tissue, capsule is formed, perichondrium, periosteum, capsule, articular cartilage, synovial membrane. And anomalies of limb, like one or more limbs of the body may partially or completely absent. Phocomelia, amalia, yeah, in ingestion of harmful drugs, yeah, part of a limb may be deformed, like deformities in the region of ankle or foot, or various. Most common deformity is plantar flexion, equinus like horse. And yeah, we have come to final part finally. Inversion, and hence the condition is talipes equinovarus clubfoot. So all this clinical we have seen already in our anatomy, but once let us review it. Congenital strictures, congenital amputations, congenital contractions also present. There may be abnormal fusion between different bones. Adjoining digits may be fused syndactyly. Phalanges of the digits are fused to another, like symphalangia. Macrodactyly, abnormally large or abnormally short. Brachydactyly. In arachnodactyly, fingers are long, thin, spider fingers. Supernumerary digits may be present in polydactyly. A digit, most commonly thumb, may have extra phalanx. Palm and sole may show deep longitudinal cleft, lobster claw. Limbs may remain short in case of achondroplasia. The bone ends forming joint are imperfectly formed. Congenital dysplasia, this can lead to congenital dislocation. So hip joint is the most commonly affected. So finally we are having a timetable of events going on this chapter. So 4th week, that is on 26th day, the forelimb bud appears. 4th week on 28th day, hind limb bud appears. 5th week, limbs become paddle shaped. 6th week, 36th day, formation of future digits can be seen. Cartilaginous model of bone start forming. 7th week, rotation of limbs occur. 8th week, 50th day, the elbow and the knee are established and the fingers and the toes are free. Primary centers of ossification are seen in many bones. And on 12th week, primary centers of ossification are seen in all the long bones. So the extremities are more susceptible to teratogens during the 4th and 7th week, and slightly less susceptible in 8th week. So this is like a very big lesson, up to 30 to 33 minutes. So just we need to revise it. That's it.